From the Cottage Studio, welcome to the movie review, and as always, I'm your host, Ho Ho. How y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I really do. And you know, there are just certain occasions, on certain days, on certain holidays, that you just gotta do certain things. You do. You know, if you're having bad dreams, you've got to watch Nightmare on Elm Street. On Friday the 13th, you have to watch Friday the 13th. There's just no getting around it. During Christmas, there's so many movies you got to watch. You know, you've got to watch A Christmas Story. You've got to watch a Die Hard, maybe even a Lethal Weapon. You've got to watch National Lampoon. You know, so many things you got to watch. And on Halloween, you've got to watch Halloween. And what more perfect year to be watching another Halloween movie, but with Halloween Ends, the 13th installment of the Halloween movie franchise just got released October 14th. So this is the best year to continue with the saga and watch yet another Halloween movie. Now, like I said, there's been 13 different movies, and of which case Michael Myers has made an appearance in 12 of them. But it hasn't been a continuation of the story. It really hasn't been. And just so you know, before we continue any more into this, spoiler alert, we are going to be talking about, well, the Halloweens, and of course we are going to be touching base on Halloween Ends. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it yet, watch it. It is available on Peacock, or you can go see it in theaters. Halloween Ends. Is this going to be the last appearance of Michael Myers? I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that question. I have no idea. But let's go ahead and jump into the Wayback Machine all the way back to October 25th of 1978, when John Carpenter introduced us to Michael Myers and Halloween. John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, actually. Now, this one started off, and John Carpenter actually talked about, you know, the beginning of Michael Myers and where this story actually came from. Now, of course, the legend is it is based off of a true story. You know, Haddonfield, of course, is a fictitious town in Illinois, and it was rumored the story actually happened. A child murdering his family, getting sent to a loony bin, and then escaping said loony bin, going on a murder rampage to go after the one sibling whom he left alive. And then after getting shot, falling off the balcony, he was never seen from again. That's the legend. Now, I have absolutely no idea if any of that is true, and probably it isn't. I mean, it probably isn't, you know. But that's the legend. That's the story that we tell here in Illinois, because, I mean, hey, you've got to kind of throw those kind of stuff in there when you're talking to people in Illinois. It's like, oh, yeah, this thing's absolutely true. Michael Myers is still out there. Absolutely, he is. You know, it's a ghost story you got to keep alive. You know what I'm saying? But John Carpenter talks about where the story actually came from. And according to him, he had went to a hospital of the mentally ill, and he had seen a kid. And he just had this blank, emotionless stare. You know, I don't know if he was staring off into space, staring at nothing, or if he was staring at or maybe even through different people. I have no idea. That's not something that I recall from what John Carpenter said. However, you know, he's seen this kid, this young child, and I guess he was intrigued by what his story was. You know, what could make a kid look like that? What can make somebody look like that? You know, and that is the question from the experience that really spawned at least the beginning sequence, per se, of Halloween and how it all started. Very, very intriguing. Now, Halloween, I mean, I'm sure y'all know the legend, you know the lore, but what's interesting is whenever they did Halloween 2 started off like the moment after the first Halloween ends. The first Halloween was released in October 25th, 1978. Halloween 2, October 30th of 1981. And yeah, it was absolutely a continuation of the first movie. I kid you not, it was moments after, it picked up right where the first one left off. Now in Halloween 3, they tore up the script. They really did. And they had a lot of negative feedback on this one. Because Halloween 3 is Season of the Witch, and a lot of people don't even consider that to be a Halloween movie. But the mindset, or at least the thought process behind Halloween 3, was that they wanted to make a series that was based off of Halloween, different boogeymen, different, Baba Yagas, if you will, and just tell a horror story that really didn't have any one bad guy, that it would just be a movie franchise that would basically live on forever. That's more or less what their mindset was. And that's the direction they decided to go in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. This was the first one where Michael Myers did not officially appear in the movie. I say officially appear in the movie because for anybody that has seen the movie may remember that the kids were watching a Halloween movie. And so Michael Myers inadvertently showed up in Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, but again, didn't make an official appearance. And because of the backlash that people really wanted to see Michael Myers again, they decided to do Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, and that one released in October 21 of 1988. 6 years later. Now, these next few episodes, next several episodes, they kind of flipped the script, did a little bit of altering with the storyline, introduced some characters, did some weird things, and from Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, and then Halloween H2O 20 years later. That one was a good episode for me. I really liked it. This is whenever they really brought back, some of the original cast because, Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, took place in September, or at least was released September 29th of 1995. And then in August 5th of 1998 is whenever Halloween H2O took place. And what was funny was this kind of came from a conversation between Jamie Lee Curtis and I forget who, whether it was a director, a screenwriter, I'm not exactly sure, but he was like, we're all still doing this, 20 years later, we're all still doing this. We're all still actors. We're all still writers. We're all still producers. Let's just do another movie. And this actually took place, 19 years after the original Halloween was released. And it was an idea that came into fruition. And then now we have Halloween H2O. Now, I actually went to theaters and seen Halloween H2O. I really did. I was excited to see this movie. I really was. I was a big fan of Halloween. At that time, I had watched every single one of the movies. I was like, this is awesome. Here I am going to theaters to see Halloween, Michael Myers. Yay. Now, whenever I walked into the theater, I don't remember exactly what time it was, but whenever I walked in, it was, let's say it was on the hour. And I wasn't overly impressed with at least the build of Michael Myers, whoever they had casting the role. He wasn't, he wasn't intimidating to me. You know, he was a scrawny kid wearing overalls coveralls and the white mask. I mean, he wasn't intimidating at all. I mean, granted, the guy did some, pretty sweet death scenes, in ways that he killed people, but it wasn't intimidating though. He was a scrawny guy. He really, it wasn't, it didn't do it for me. I'm just saying, it just didn't, he wasn't scary to me. He had the knife, he did some stuff, but it was like, you wasn't afraid of him. He was just a guy in a mask, but that's just me. That was my takeaway from it. And this very much was a movie that they released. It seemed, at least at the time to me, a movie to end the franchise, to end the Michael Myers franchise, to end the storyline. Because, like I said a little bit earlier, when I went in, it was on the hour. It wasn't even 1 hour later that I was walking out of the theater, and I went in a little early. So, I mean, like, it was about an hour long, or at least it was just shy of an hour long. It was to kill off the character. Now, I come to find out later that this was actually the plan from the get-go, but let's just be honest here. Whenever I seen that they released Halloween Resurrection, I was actually kind of ticked. I'm like, wait a second. Last time I got half a freaking movie. Actually, I got about 3/4 of a movie because most horror movies are about an hour and a half long. And I got an hour movie, so I got about 75% of the movie, give or take a little bit. And needless to say, yeah, I was a little disappointed in that. And then Halloween Resurrection. And I'm like, dude, you killed Michael Myers. You chopped his head off. There's no coming back from that. What are you doing? The last movie was a movie to end all movies, or at least the franchise. And here you are bringing them back again. I have to see this. I did not waste my time and go to theaters. I waited for it to come out on video. But I was like, I've got to see how the heck they try to explain this away. And as watching, because they explained it in the very beginning of the movie, I was like, okay, fine. Whatevs. Whatevs. And that's pretty much what my reaction was. I mean, like, yeah, it was still a pretty good movie. I liked it, I watched it. I wasn't disappointed in it. And truth be told, I wasn't disappointed in H2O. Yes, I got half a movie. Yes, it's not like I wasn't going to see the movie. It was just kind of I really wish I would have waited to see it at home. That was kind of my takeaway with it. It was kind of a waste of time going to theaters and seeing the movie. But anyway, I digress. But I liked how they did Resurrection. It was pretty good. It was all right. It was all right. And Resurrection was 2002. And then the people whom loved the franchise got some amazing news. Because in 2007, summer of 2007, Rob Zombie reimagined the entire franchise with a remake of the original entitled Halloween. And that one was gruesome, violent, gory, holy crap. That one was, whoa. I mean, he did a good job. He didn't just do a good job in the storyline. There was a lot of backstory into it about how Michael Myers got his start, what actually happened, what took place. Not only that, the person who played the adult version of Michael Myers was a 6 foot whatever guy. The guy was big. The guy was huge. He was definitely intimidating. He was somebody you would be afraid of. Just to see him standing there and just looming over you would be enough to make you caca. Absolutely unlike the guy who played the character in Halloween H2O. This guy, and I don't remember what his name is. Like, I've seen him You know, he played Sabretooth in Halloween X-Men. You know, he's been in different things, but he is the guy that Rob Zombie chose to be Michael Myers as an adult. And he was absolutely intimidating. Everything that Michael Myers should be, that's what he was. I was like, wow, they did a good job. I liked it. I liked how they did it. They really did. And they really did a pretty good job honoring the original storyline, because 2 years later, August 28th, 2009, Rob Zombie released a part 2 to that one, which was very similar to the original part 2 that was released October 30th of 1981. They kind of followed, per se, the same kind of stuff. You know, Dr. Loomis being in there, the whole 9 yards. It really was a good remake that honored, you know, the original storyline, modernized it, made it so much more of a horror movie than what it had ever been before. You know, that they said that the original, you know, Halloween was something that, you know, a child could watch. And although it had some scary parts in it, that they could, you know, come out of it the other side basically unscathed. They didn't say that with Rob Zombie's version. They were like, oh no, this is gruesome. This is, you know, this has some parts in it that children should not see. In fact, the kid who played young Michael Myers was not even allowed to watch the entirety of the movie during the screening. And, you know, the premiere of the movie, that he was able to see like the first 20 minutes or so, maybe. And then they were like, you've got to go. His parents were like, you are not watching this. This is too gruesome. This is too gory. This is way too violent. You're not watching it. What does that tell you about Rob Zombie's version of Halloween and Halloween 2? And then again, October 19th of 2019, skipping over the Rob Zombie versions, this is 16 years after Halloween Resurrection, they kind of do another, I don't want to say a reboot of this series, but they take the original storyline, they kind of remove the happenings of Halloween 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, really, you know. And they kind of start off really even taking away the happenings of Halloween 2, from what they say. I don't know exactly how much of that I really believe. I mean, I would kind of assume that this, you know, that the version that got released in 2018 would have been more like happening after Halloween 2, but, you know, whatever. And so they kind of rebooted the series again, having Jamie Lee Curtis reprising her character again as the sister to Michael Myers. I forget what, Laurie, I think. I don't know. And that one, too, was really, really good. There was some stuff in that I really, really liked, the direction that they took with it, especially in the beginning of the movie. You know, whenever I seen the preview for this movie, I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, I'm definitely going to be watching this. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind. I was like, you know, just watching the previews originally, I was, you know, without talking to anybody, without hearing any scuttlebutt about the movie whatsoever, just watching the trailer convinced me that I am absolutely going to go and see this movie. It was that good. It was that good. I was like, oh yeah. And then in October 15th of 2021, they continued that storyline with Halloween Kills. And I tell you what, just again, this was another one. The trailers of this, I was like, yeah, I have got to watch this one. I mean, this looks, you know, it's almost like in this one, when you're talking about the gruesomeness of it, the gore, the kill scenes, just the violence in this one. They kind of took a page out of Rob Zombie's movies, and they upped their game a little bit, still having, Jamie Lee Curtis and following with the original storyline. But they really took a page out of Rob Zombie's, and they bumped up the gore aspect. They bumped up the violence a little bit. And it really was, not just a PG-13 version of a horror movie. They really stepped it up. You know what I'm saying? Halloween Kills was a good movie. I liked what they did with the storyline. I really did. I liked what they did with it. And then this year, just like a couple weeks ago, October 14th of 2022, Halloween Ends. And this one, and I just got done watching this, all right? There's aspects of this that hasn't even really sunk in yet, When I was watching this, it really seemed like it was going to be a passing of the torch. While I was watching it, and for those of you that's seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It seemed like they were going to pass the torch, okay? That basically Michael Myers was, going to be done as the killer, but the boogeyman, the Baba Yaga, was going to be passing on to somebody else, and it would be a different person in the jumpsuit still wearing the same mask. That's what it seemed like. And the previews actually disappointed me a little bit because there was some aspects of it, more or less some dialogue that Jamie Lee Curtis has in the trailers that don't actually show up in the movie. So you kind of get a false idea of what's going on, or at least of what's in the movie. I don't know how much of the trailer is canon. I have no idea. But either way you look at it, that dialogue doesn't actually take place in the movie. Because from watching the trailer, you think that it's going to be, in a matter of speaking, a murder-suicide with Jamie Lee Curtis actually killing Michael Myers, but that's not what actually happens. That's not what takes place. And then, you get to the end of it, and I'm standing there expecting, because it's like, and it wasn't a wood chipper, but it's the same type of concept. I mean, it was a shredder, a metal shredder that they throw Michael Myers' body into. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, well, they did this before in Halloween H2O. They'll just bring him back in the next episode. Well, I can't really say that, because in Halloween H2O, she killed Michael Myers off. He was still wearing his mask. This time, Jamie Lee Curtis's character learned from her previous mistake, and his mask was off. I mean, they basically killed him in the house, in her house. The townspeople help her carry it to her car. She ties him down on the luggage rack on top of her vehicle, takes him to the scrapyard where the kid who you think that the torch is going to get passed to, whom he died earlier because Michael Myers killed him, which was just a weird happenstance. They took his body, they took it off the car, and they threw it in there. A town that has been tortured with not just the memory of Michael Myers, but with him returning every so often to, kind of continue the thing. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that the townspeople aren't like, look, your brother's coming back. We don't want you here. You've got to go. I'm almost surprised that didn't happen, that they didn't just kick her out of town. But no, they let her stay. But anyway, I digress. So this one seemed like it's really going to be an end to at least Michael Myers' run in Halloween. Now, are they going to continue with the franchise in some way? I have no idea. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, that I really thought that this was going to be a passing of the torch, but they completely did away with that aspect of it. They killed the guy off. All right, but I really thought it was going to be a passing of the torch. I really did. That seemed to me like what they were setting it up to be. But they're not. Or at least that's not the direction they ended up going. So that's it, the entirety of the Halloween franchise. So are they going to continue with the mask? The faceless man killer that comes around every Halloween and wreaks havoc on Haddonfield, Illinois. I don't know. Are they going to completely, bring back the Season of the Witch mindset to where, you have a different boogeyman or tale that you tell and keeping the franchise alive? Or is this the end of Halloween and Michael Myers? I don't know. But whatever direction they end up taking, I'm sure that we'll have some kind of an answer. Who knows, maybe in the next 20 years. I don't know. So if you are a fan of Halloween and you're a fan of Michael Myers and the Boogeyman and all that good stuff, because I am. I'm a fan of horror movies. I really am. The jump scare, the suspense, I'm a fan. I've always been a fan of horror movies, suspense, thrillers. Always loved them. And Nightmare on Elm Street has always held a very special place in my heart because it was the first horror movie I ever seen. At a young age where I was definitely too young to be seeing it, I seen it anyway. And yeah, it did give me some bad dreams there for a while, but I got over it. My logic was like, this isn't real. And now as an adult, dude, I love horror movies. For me, it's entertaining. It's fun to watch. I'm looking at him, I'm going, that is awesome. That is amazing. That is cool. How did they do that? Man, that looked good. That is gruesome. Oh, it's not a fear thing for me, But anyway, that's my love for horror movies, for Halloween. Pinhead, also another really good one. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you. All right, I definitely recommend checking it out. I mean, if you got the time, if you got the inclination, go back and watch the rest of them. Go back and watch them all. Even Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Watch that one too. Enjoy it for what it is. It wasn't absolutely horrible. Just people didn't get Michael Myers, and it it just set people off. It was kind of it didn't sit right with a lot of people. But it was definitely weird, definitely like creepy. I remember it. I watched it. I didn't really watch it a lot. I watched it once, and then it was like, that was weird. That was kind of creepy. But hey, watch it. It was a good show. I still recommend it. Anyway, that's all I got. Y'all have yourself a great one. See you in the next one.